Welcome, Zach. Give people a few minutes to pile in here, and we'll get this horse out the barn. Welcome. Welcome to Sapphire Ridge News. Today's topic is remembering Jimmy Carter. Now, many Republicans would just say, oh, he was a bad president, he was awful, blah, blah, blah. He did good things after he left the presidency. So we shouldn't just bash him because he was a bad president. Hey, laugh. We should look at all aspects, good and bad. And while he was president, there were some very bad things that happened, like the oil embargo. When I was in high school when he became president in 1977, and when I was in high school, gas was 57 cents a gallon. 57 cents. Jimmy Carter decided that we should stop drilling our own oil because before he became president, we always drilled our own oil. And we didn't do offshore drilling. We did all onshore, Oklahoma, Texas, Alaska. And he decided that we should buy our oil from OPEC. So he made up this gas shortage. He called it the oil embargo, so that we would buy our oil from OPEC, and our prices went from 57 cents a gallon to $1.25 a gallon within a few months. Then also, while he was president, that we had the Iran hostage crisis, where Iran took, I think it was 165 members of the embassy and held them hostage for almost 2 years. And I will give him this, he did try to go rescue them, but the army did not serve him well. They did not take into account that the helicopters, would have to fly over the sand, and that the sand would get sucked up in the motor, and they had several helicopters crash, and that let Iran know that we were trying to come and get our hostages. And they remained in the custody of Iran until Ronald Reagan was elected president. But I'm not going to sit here and bash him 100% because after he left office, he created Habitat for Humanity and became the single best humanitarian in America's history. And he would go and help people build their houses. And you didn't have to really pay for the house. You worked on the house and you worked on other people's houses to build up hours, and your hours paid for the house. I think that's a great thing. And other Republicans won't give him credit for that. And I think that's wrong. I think credit should be given where credit is due. I think that he was a great humanitarian. You know, good deeds count. I've always believed good deeds count, and that you should not sit there and gloss over bad deeds because of a few good deeds. You should remember the person as a whole, good and bad. People are not perfect. We all make mistakes. And I'm not one to sit here and say, you know, like I heard analyst on CNN this morning say that Carter was a horrible person. He was a bad president and worse after he got out. Wrong. Jimmy Carter was a very nice person. He is well known and well loved in his community for being a nice guy. That doesn't mean that you know, that he is an awful person. It means he's a nice person. But as with, most stuff in politics, nice guys usually finish last. It's a sad reality. You know, he took care of his brother, Billy, and took care of his mother, took care of his wife. These are all good qualities. And I'm not going to be the one who sits here and badmouths him 100% when he had good things that he did. It's not fair and it's not right to just bash someone and say they were an awful president and an awful person afterwards. No, that's wrong. And one of the points that this person made on CNN was when he went to North Korea when Bill Clinton was president and messed up the nuclear treaty. That's Bill Clinton's fault. Bill Clinton should have told him, look, don't go. I'm working on something. You can't blame Jimmy Carter for what Bill Clinton didn't do. If Clinton didn't open his mouth and say, hey, don't go there. I'm in the middle of a negotiation. Wait until after my negotiation. That's not on Carter. That's on Clinton. I've never been one to sit there and say, this person's bad, bad, bad. No, you look at the person as a whole. If they did good things, you should recognize the good things that they did. I always tell people I'm a conservative first and a Republican second. And that statement sometimes gets me in a lot of trouble, but that's reality because we have to look at good and bad things when somebody does something. We can't just look at the bad things or look at the good things. Welcome, Brooklyn. We have to look at the person as a whole. And Jimmy Carter was a very nice man. He was well loved in his community. He took care of his brother, took care of his mother. These are all good qualities. He started Habitat for Humanity, and he would personally go and work on people's houses through Habitat for Humanity. He would show up. That's a good thing. You know, We can't sit there and say bad, bad, bad when there's all this good that he did after he left the presidency. You know, Habitat for Humanity is well known, and he should get the credit for starting Habitat for Humanity and helping people build houses. And the way I understand that it works is that you don't physically pay for the house. You build up hours working on other houses, and your hours transferred into money, and that's how your house gets paid for, which I think that's a good thing. Hold on, let me fix this. Yes, I hope everyone has a had a safe and happy New Year. I'm going to be doing an update on the terrorist bombings tomorrow because um, I just saw a few minutes ago on Benny Johnson that um, the Capitol is currently on lockdown, that there's a suspicious vehicle near the Capitol building. And I have to check into that, and I'll give y'all an update tomorrow. Yes, I always liked Rosalind. I always liked her. And his daughter's name Amy? You know, I, I'm the kind of person that calls a spade a spade. If you're a good person, I'll tell you you're a good person. If you're a bad person, I'll say you're a bad person. But at that same time, I don't look for the bad in people. I look for the good in people because we are getting too divisive and too argumentative in our politics. We try to carve people out and push people out. And I am one that has always said we need to include everyone. You know, while I don't like rhinos, which means Republican in name only, I understand that there are, yes, I agree, Laugh. Politics, there's a saying, politics is a blood sport. And I've always said, hey, survivor, I've always said that, you know, we should be more inclusive, you know, like when Donald Trump pulled in Tulsi Gabbard and Bobby Kennedy Jr. And I like Tulsi and I like Bobby Kennedy. And the things that the Democratic Party did to Tulsi, they should be embarrassed. They should be embarrassed. Tulsi is a patriot. Tulsi is a lieutenant colonel in the Air National Guard. And they put her on the Quiet Skies terrorist watch list and tried to say that she was a terrorist spy. So when they did that, every time she flew for the last 3 years, she was escorted by 5 U.S. Marshals. She had to go through a line and be searched every time she flew. She had to be sniffed down by a drug dog every time she flew. That's horrible because she is what they used to call a true statesman. She would negotiate with anyone. That's what a statesman does. A statesman negotiates with the other side. And because she was sent to Syria to have discussions with Bashar al-Assad to see where he stood on things, the Democrats labeled her as a traitor. That's disgraceful. That is beyond disgraceful because not only is she a veteran and she's currently in the Air National Guard as a lieutenant colonel, she was also a 2-term representative from Hawaii as a Democrat. And when they did all this to her, she left the Democratic Party. And over the summer, she was at a Trump rally and she held up her registration card and she switched from independent to Republican. And I thought, this is a big deal. This is a big deal to have a Democrat caliber of her to come over to our party and say, I didn't leave my party left me, and then describe how they treated her. Then we have just within the last few weeks, it came out that Lindy Lee is a Democratic fundraiser who raised hundreds of millions of dollars for Kamala. And when she found out that they spent $2.5 billion in 3 months, she called them to account for where that money was spent because she helped raise a good majority of that money. And her donors wanted to know where the money went. And she was cussed out. She was called a whore. She was called the C word. And she was on an interview last week and said, this is how the Democrats treat their donors. I want no part of them. She said, I raised hundreds of millions of dollars. And my donors wanted to know where the money spent. She said, when I found out that they were putting low-level staffers in 5-star hotels, she said, I threw a fit and it got me cussed out. That's terrible. You know, they're driving people like Lindy out of their party. And, you know, I have a cousin who's a Democratic politician in Illinois. He's a good kid. And when I told him that people were saying Kamala was going to run in 2028, he threw a fit. He said, no, no, no. We don't want her. needs to stay away from national politics. He said, she's an awful candidate. That's coming from a Democrat. So then a few days ago, I read that she was going to run for governor of California in 26. So I told him that, and he said, she will get elected and they can have her. We don't want her. But this is, things that are going on right now that are just, you know, they're horrible. According to Lindy Lee, who's the fundraiser, she said low-level staffers are not entitled to a five-star hotel. She said they are entitled to a hotel, but not a five-star. Five stars are usually reserved for the candidate's top aides, and everyone else gets put at a regular hotel. I don't fault you for being a Democrat, Laugh. I try to get along with everyone. The I still love you too, Laugh. But what I try to explain to people is the Democrat Party of today is different from the Democrat Party when I was a kid. When I was a kid, we had JFK. JFK was a conservative Democrat. The Democrat Party used to be the party for the workers. Now it's the party that is for transgenders, illegal aliens, and stuff like that, which that's not where either party should be. Both parties should be for working people. We should not be sitting here, encouraging people to come across the border unvetted. You know what I mean, Laugh? We should not be doing that. We should not be encouraging people to come by the millions to just walk across the border. I believe in immigration, but I believe in legal immigration. Yes, there will still be illegals and transgenders, but the way that it's being done now, it's all out of kilter. Like you have men that are saying they're transgender and being allowed in women's sports. And you can't let men in women's sports. I've said this since this whole transgender sport thing came up, that the transgenders should have their own league. because you should have men competing against men, women competing against women, and then the transgenders should have their own league. You've had instances over the summer where I think it was in Boston, a man said he was a transgender woman and he played volleyball and he punched this girl in the face with a volleyball and knocked her out cold. She had to retire from volleyball because she got a traumatic brain injury from it. That's not right. In California, I just watched this video last week on this, and this lady always went to this one Korean spa. She said the men had their own section, the women had their own section, and she said she had to stop going because there was a fully intact male walked into the women's locker room and undressed, and she went and complained to the management, and the management told her he's transgender, so we cannot kick him out. She said, I left and I will never go back. And she was crying. That's wrong, you know? And this whole transgender thing with kids, you know, if they want to transgender as an adult, fine. But don't do this to little kids. You had Vanderbilt Hospital in Nashville was transgendering 12 and 13-year-old girls to be boys. That's disgraceful. That, to me, that's child abuse. Because we don't let kids buy cigarettes until they're what, 21? No, I think it's 18. It was supposed to change, but I don't know if it changed yet. We don't let them buy cigarettes until they're 18, they're an adult. We don't let them buy liquor until they're 21. But we're going to let a state decide that a 12-year-old girl should be a boy. That's not right. I'm not down with that kind of stuff. You know, if they want to do it after they're an adult, that's their business. That's their business after they're an adult, but not when they're children. You know, I know we're getting off topic, but sometimes things flow. I agree, Laugh, but there are certain Democrats that are trying to say that is wrong. They're trying to say that, you know, now I got into a heated discussion last week, go figure, with a guy that tried to say that men can have babies. I told him he is fucking stupid. Men can't have babies. Women have babies. This is the craziness where we're at right now. Our politics is screwed up right now. And it will get straightened out, but it will take a couple of years for it to get straightened out. So that's what I got for y'all today. I love you, Laugh. You mean a lot to me. And I'm glad you're here every day. And we will talk again tomorrow. Different topic tomorrow. Love you. Bye.